Hey YouTube, it's Jacob here from the Rush Dimension, and today I'll be bringing you my first place competitive Phantom Knights deck profile. Let's just get straight into this. So for the Phantoms, I kept to the same basic lineup that I've showed in all my profiles. Still the 3 Torn Scales, 3 Silent Boots, the 2 Ancient Cloak, 1 Ragged Gloves, and 1 Stained Greaves. This is just the best ratio that I still play. I don't miss the 3rd Ancient Cloak. I also don't miss the 2nd Ragged Gloves, but I do see some players prefer playing it that way. This is player preference, of course. This was just the best lineup that I prefer playing. In the previous videos, I did explain how I dumbed this down to this being your card that mulls, this being your special summon and adding spells and traps, this being your card that adds the monsters, this being able to mull cards as well, and this being a searchable special summon, the same as the Silent Boots. Then for the additional starter that I've changed up into, I went into Triple Tour Guide. So this is just literally a ash bait for most players, but usually you try and resolve this. If it resolves, awesome. If it doesn't, you do have a few extenders that you can use to play along with this card. The targets that I chose are not BA targets because I preferred not playing additional bricks. Don't get me wrong, the BAs are an extremely good combination with the tour guide, but I just preferred, I don't like drawing into them and then trying to special summon them from hand, or adding in the 3rd Libic to be able to special summon from hand if you drew into an extra one. It just took up slightly too much space, so I added in cards that on their own could do something extra when played to the field with an extender. So I chose the Sangan mainly to be able to search hand traps. In the main deck, I've changed the hand trap lineups to more trap based to facilitate the play of the Conjurer. So when you side in your hand traps, you can search it off Sangan. Otherwise, you can search any of your Phantom Knights that you can use in the following turn, or you can special summon it off Stained Greaves, or you can search your Psychic Wielder and you can still special summon it from hand. And then the Infinity Conjurer can then trigger engrave once you have no cards in hand to be able to float itself back. Then for the traditional extenders, just the 1 Psychic Wielder, Psychic Tracker, just for extra extensions when there's a level 3 on the field. Like the tour guide, once you've used its effect, if it gets negated, it's fine. If it doesn't get negated, awesome. You can still just special summon this if you control a level 3 on the field. Alongside that, I added in the 1 Teratop and Take Tomborg. Drawing into Take Tomborg is not the worst thing. You can special summon this from your hand once you've special summoned the Legionnaire from the extra deck, and this obviously special summons adds this to hand from the deck without committing to a normal summon, so that you can bait out some negates if there are, and if there isn't, your board will just be a lot stronger for your opponent to deal with. And then I still play the 1 Danger Snake and the 1 Danger Bunny. Being able to mull cards from your hand to the graveyard potentially, or potentially drawing into more cards off this card, is still awesome to run. And then unfortunately, I played the Dark Dragoon in the extra deck, so that has the 2 bricks. You can bump up the main deck count to something like 45 or just 40 plus to be able to not draw into this as often, because we do not like to draw into these, but if you do, these are still fine. I just don't like drawing into the fusion spell. For the spells, it's the 1 E-Telect for the Psychic cards, the 1 Reinforcements of the Army for all the Warrior cards, the 1 Call By because it's only at 1. If this was at more copies, I would run more copies. This is just to help let your plays go through. Still the 1 Rank Up spell because the Requiem is still a broken card to summon to your side of the field, and this actually helps you play around cards like Dark Rune No More. You wait for them to resolve the effect and you just flip this up in the same main phase after the card resolved, and you still have 3 Negate Destroys on the field. And then just the 1 Red Eyes Fusion to be sent off the Verta Anaconda. Like I said, I do not like drawing into this card. This is the only brick that I feel if you could do the same thing without this card, I would, but for the competitive version, this is too good not to play because the deck does not have any additional Omnigates. This is the basic Omnigate that you can set up in your turn once you've either bricked or can at least get 2 monsters on the field to make a Verte. then you can send this off the birthday and at least have one negate on your side of the field. And then going into the traps, I still have the 3 fog blades, nevertheless, and then I've added in the 1 sword and still the 1 Phantom Knight's wing. These are literally extenders that you can use in your turn, and then these will be additional negates that you can use against your opponent if you did not use them. The only reason why I'm adding in the extra sword is because I don't like sending the fog blade from hand or from deck off the torn scales if you need an additional extender, so you can at least have both of these in the deck and being sent either from hand or deck for the extenders, but still have your 3 fog blades for extra negates from first right through to mid or late game. And then of course I still play the 1 Unchained Brigade just for making your rank 4 play slightly easier. You can link this off into a link spider and then go into your Verte if you bricked. You can also use this as an additional material to go into your Rusty if your hand was that bad. If you do have better hands, you can either set this from your Rusty if you already drew into the other cards that you need, and then try and resolve this in a different turn where you'd be able to summon something else from the extra deck to be able to control more of the game state. And then I switched out the hand traps for more trap based cards. So I changed the Ash Blossoms to Infinite Impermanence. This is still a hand trap in your opponent's turn that you can use from your hand if you did draw into it, and you can set this to be able to resolve the Conjurer from the graveyard. And then additionally I added in the 3 Solemn Judgments, more of a high risk, high reward card. The sole purpose for this card is just to be set and to be used if something is activated that would wipe your board completely, or either switch it off so that you can at least negate it. Even if though you pay half your life points, you still have all your monster negates. And because it's a counter trap, it's difficult to respond to, and they usually don't expect this in a Phantom Knights deck. But the main reason for this card is because you're having a hard time with Omnigates. This will just serve to help that they don't imperm your F0 or any other card that's on your side of the field that you need to be able to stop their plays. Going into the extra, I played the 1 Link Spider just for the Unchained Brigade, or if they've Nibiru'd you, you can use the Nibiru token, link into this, normal summon, and you make your Verte, make your Dragoon and continue your plays from there. Still the 1 Cherubini, Phantom Knight of the Burning Abyss, along the Rusty. Can't play without these cards, and 1-offs are still the best choice for me. Some of your more Galaxy Brain players would play multiple copies of these because people don't expect multiple copies of these. I unfortunately just own 1, and this far it has been great for me. And then just the Verte for the Dragoon, only reason why this card is here. And then the secondary use to change something on the field to a dark, so that you can actually use this to link into Rusty, is actually also a play that you can use in the example where you've drawn into one of the bricks, one of the vanillas in the deck, or into the fusion spell. You can still use the Verte to change something on the field to a dark and then link into your Rusty from there. Then just the Borrow Sword for if you've run out of all your extra deck monsters, you can still rely on this card to be able to punch for game out of nowhere. For the Exceeds, I doubled up on the Legionnaire because I still play the Drake of Future. This card being able to special summon banished monsters from the Banish Zone to the field, and putting the Phantom Knights back in the graveyard is still an awesome play to use. And then my personal favorite Phantom Knight will be the Break Sword. If I could play more, I would. Unfortunately, I only own 2, and 2 this far has only been good. Being able to detach 1 material, destroy a card on your side of the field, one of your set traps, to be able to extend from the graveyard, like the Fog Blade that you might have drawn into, and then destroying one of your opponent's cards, or even it destroying itself and floating back, being able to make a rank 4 is still pretty awesome. And then I added in the Time Thief Redoer over the Evil Swarm Nightmare, because the Nightmare doesn't really do much once you've summoned it, unless you are in a bit of a tight space, where the Time Thief Redoer is a recurring monster that could come back to your side of the field, adding 24 attack to your total, being able to swing for game. If you've attached the spell card, you can actually draw into more cards that you need, and if you make this using the Brigadine, you can place a card back on top of the deck with its effect, which is a lot more interactive than what the Nightmare was, in my opinion. And then of course still the the Dark Requiem with the Rebellion, but being able to make the Requiem, because 3 negate destroys, Dolka is still brilliant, and that's why I'll play this card in this deck. And then just the F0, being able to swing into the Draco Future. The stealing effect, that doesn't come up as much as I'd like it to come up, but the fact that that is a threat that your opponent has to think about actually makes them nervous activating monster effects on the field, which is still pretty awesome. And then going into the side, I play the 3 Nibiru's just for combo heavy decks, so that you'll be able to have something to stop their plays. You can leave this on the field just as an additional damage when you try and build your board, or just try and swing over something that they've built without committing to your normal summon. It's still pretty awesome. And then I've moved the Ash Blossoms, like I said, to the side. This will go into the main deck once you know what you play against, so you can actually side out either your Imperms or your Judgments game 3, so that you do not lose to time because of the life points needed to pay for cost. And you can search this card off the Sangan if that comes up. And then I still play the Twin Twisters over the Cosmic Cyclones, because cards like Lancer is in most players' side decks in this method, to be able to stop you, so that they'll also switch off the Cosmic Cyclone, being able to stop it from banishing something. So this was just a lot better, discarding a Phantom Knight card from your hand to the graveyard, and then either triggering their back row or destroying it, and then continuing your plays with the card that you've discarded is still pretty awesome, and in my opinion better than any of the other back row removals that exist. You can swap out one of these for Feather Duster if you'd like. I just prefer the discard over anything else. And then just to help you break boards, evenly matched for your Sky Strikers or most of your combo decks. So you flip this thing, and then they reduce the total count to 1 on the field. Makes it a lot easier for you to be able to play through a board, because your combo is quite breakable through hand traps or negates on field. So this will just help you to be able to play into boards a lot easier. And then just for this, for any spell related decks, these are still I've actually tried this in the main deck some time ago, and it was horrible. But the idea was if there was a lot more Sky Strikers or a lot more spell based decks, or if I saw more Shaddolls or Shaddol Invoked or Dogmaticas, then this would have been an awesome main deck choice to make. But I've moved this to the side because you don't see them as often in all the places that you might be at. that is it for today, guys. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment if you'd like to see more competitive deck profiles, any questions that you might have, and we'll see you next time.